this is one of Atlas's first times working in a different location. So he usually works in the round pen, just because that's the safest place for him to be. But as soon as you can, I would get your horse out to different areas and work on the same things in different areas, but I always kind of relax my expectations of the certain behaviors that I'm doing in a new location. So most horses can struggle with context shift. So they would perform a certain behavior in one context and not another, or it's much less than it used to be. So a good example of that is taking your horse to a show or a different location, like a trail ride or something. And they'll be like, oh, well, my horse, he is so calm and nice at home and he does this at home, but he goes to a show and he just falls to pieces. That's context shift. So the horse is really struggling doing that same behavior in a different environment. So for Atlas, I'm just kind of taking my time here and rewarding him a lot, making sure he's nice and relaxed, and just doing the same kind of grooming routine that we do in the round pen over here under the tree. So he's still in like a fenced-in area. He can go up to the hot wire in the back. It's not on. He minds it really well. He already knows what he's doing. And then where he's going now is where his pasture is. So he decided, I might want to leave, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I just kind of, once he comes back to me, I'll just put him back where he was, and then I'll go back to grooming. And then, I put him right back, and I go back to grooming, and then I reward him. So I don't really want him to get in the habit of leaving and coming back for a treat, because certain horses will be like, oh, that's what you were rewarding. So they think leaving, coming back, and then like, that's when you get your treat. So they're like, oh, well, sometimes I stand, sometimes she wants me to go in this loop and come back. That's not what I want at all. So I wait till he comes back. I did that one stroke of the brush. I clicked for that. I want the standing still and the brushing is what I want, not the leaving behavior. So that can be kind of tricky sometimes if you don't know that. So I'm just speeding through this clip here because everybody's seen Atlas's grooming routine already. It's not really about the routine itself or like what I'm doing. It's just him in a different location. So for this, he is loose, and in the beginning, I wanted to do a lot of things at liberty with the Mustangs. First of all, because they came without halters, I did that on purpose. Now, looking back on it, I would definitely get them with halters and drag ropes, just because it speeds up the process. So I like the idea and the theory of doing everything at liberty, using as much positive reinforcement as possible, but I also found the reality of that being very slow and hard. So to each their own, but that is what I found out with my experience with the horses. So I would have gotten halters and drag ropes and started halter breaking immediately, because I had so much trouble with haltering the Mustangs, and you live and you learn, but that's my 2 cents on that. But here I think liberty is a great tool still. He can do all his behaviors at liberty, but I really think especially for the Mustangs to move on to different homes and live peacefully with humans, because they're not living in an equine environment anymore. They're living in a human environment. They need to learn to move away from pressure. They need to learn to give from pressure and lead and stand tied and do all those things, because that's what's going to be expected to them in different homes. So I just don't want them to end up in a different home where I can't follow them and they have different expectations. So I'm kind of just moving this mounting block around because I like having a little bit of something between me and him when I kind of work on his back legs and tail area, and then I can use that as like a little table to set all my stuff on. So if I was going back, I would definitely have him in a halter and lead rope, and I would have started that in the round pen and then moved it to other locations, because now he is halter broke and I can lead him other places, but he does get worried going to just other places that are not his pasture in the round pen. So that's another thing I learned. Definitely try to get them out as soon as you can safely and get them used to going places, because if you do that from the beginning and they're like, okay, well, I live here and I go here and it's fine, I always come back, versus like they stay here forever and they're like, this is all they know, and now they're trying to go different places. Even if you take them just to like the front yard, they're like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying. So that's that context shift, and the more you practice it, the better it gets. So that's just some thoughts about that. But overall, he's doing pretty good. He's letting me brush his mane on both sides, which he was previously a little worried about in the previous couple of videos. So he's overall doing pretty good, and he's being decent with his feet because that's something we just started working on in the round pen. So it's really, for the most part, transferring to out here pretty well. So I'm liking that. I'm liking the fly spray too. The fly spray, I'm really happy with. It went really quickly, so I don't have any complaints about that part. So again, I'm just working on lifting his legs, and this time I'm just seeing if he'll hold them up for a second. So I'm going to slow this part down, and he just kind of wanted to pick it up and set it down right away. He's not really holding it, so I'm just going to stay with him until he offers that lift instead. And that was a better one, but he was backing up, so I really don't want the back up there. He lifted it. He did back up, but he was lifting more than anything. So I do click that one. I wouldn't click a ton of those because I don't want the horse to think backing up is part of it. I want the lift part of it. So, I'm just going to go with him here because I think he thought the backup is part of it and not the lift part. So I'm going to be like, nope, that's not what we want. And that's not what we want. And I'm not grabbing his leg and holding, there we go. And then I'm going to give him lots of treats here. Two treats for him because I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. He just had to figure it out. So I didn't just keep going with that backup step and reward that because that's not what I really want. So, and here he's staying connected. He's following me. I needed to get some more treats, but you really want to not be anthropomorphic and be like, oh, well, he's close, he's trying. You don't want to do that too much because then you're just rewarding behaviors that are halfway to what you want a lot, and they think that's what you want all the time. So I got to be really careful with that. He comes back over and he does really well here. He's staying, he's lifting up his foot. He's doing pretty good. So, he really understood that. Like I showed him, yes, this is exactly what I want. So he's standing still and lifting that foot. Like that was really nice. But another thing that I would change up a little bit with Mustangs is not feeding them consistently every time I click. I want some, like, okay, maybe I'll get a treat, maybe I won't. So he's not expecting it every single time. I found that really good with my other horses, so they don't get to that point where they're like, okay, I only give you this much and then I should get a cookie. And then if they don't, they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to do anything else, because they just kind of start to expect that. So I want to do a little bit of that and just kind of, I'll click sometimes, or I'll click for everything that I like, and then sometimes I feed and sometimes I don't. But he was really good. He ended really well, so I'll give him a jackpot and call it a day.